Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be about showing you guys an alternative to the power module for your cx-20, so you guys can use your return to home and return to land or whatever, or land on a fail-safe using voltage ratings. Usually people use power module, and I also have this video here showing how to use a power module in the cx-20. But this is a one-wire mod. I was reading a Facebook group post the other day, and some guy wanted to know how to make his cx-20 land on low voltage. And right away I started thinking, hey, I should just tell him about my video about the power module. But instead, something triggered in my brain, and I spent about 2 minutes in total figuring out this mod. So it's a one-wire mod, and it's actually pretty cool. All right. So if you have the same board here and if it's the open source APM, this mod will work for you. Garry O'Hare is trying to help me out right now, so hopefully I can add some pictures of his at the end of this video, but we'll see. Alright, so I have all the wires off. Alternatively, you don't have to do it. What you can do is just open up this shell and remove the board, but I'm going to show you this out of the quad for now, so it's just easier. Okay, so I already finished the whole video and I figured out a second way of doing this mod. It was kind of bugging me because the sonar mod I did a long time ago, I forced you guys to solder on a really hard pin. And I just decided to double check my work or whatever to see if there was a better location to do this mod. And sure enough, I found a different location. It's kind of different settings, but it's still a one-wire mod and it's just easier. But I don't want to edit the whole video just for this or whatever. So what I'm going to do is show you guys the hard way first, and then I'm going to show you my second mod, the second way of doing it, at the end of the video. Alright, so I'll get into it. Mod, what you're going to need is obviously the APM, a wire. You can use one with an end like this, or you can just use a solid wire if you just want to solder it directly to the board. I add this so you can just easily plug it into the board and unplug it at will, in case you have to do something with the APM. If you're going to do it this way, you also need to find an extra pin so you can solder this onto the board, which is a little bit sketchy because it can kind of break off easily, so it's up to you. Alternatively, you can just cut this wire in half or whatever and then just twist the wires together by hand, and then if you need to undo it, just untwist the wire or whatever. Up to you guys how you do that, but anyways, it is just a one-wire mod. Alright, so open up your APM. First thing I always tell everybody to do with these guys is mark your board. Only on one side, so you know how it gets shut again after. So just make sure the other side is clean or whatever. One side. Or you can just put some whiteout dots or something like that, or take a picture even. But it's easier if you just mark it. Alright, so if you're going to do it inside the cx-20 without removing everything, just be a little bit careful. And then just pry these two boards apart, and the board we're after is the bottom board. And what we're after here, and I don't have this white thing on it from another video I did, but what we're after is this ADC, these 3 pins here, and we're only after the A. So if you have the right cables that plug into it, then you don't have to solder, you can just plug it in or whatever. A cable like this or whatever, that you can just plug right into the slot there, which would be easier. But anyways, I don't have that, or I do, but I'm just going to show you guys how to solder it. So I'm just going to flip the board over, and it's the guy over on the left side I'm after. So I'm just going to solder a wire to it. Alright, so the mod in the APM is now done. You might want to hot glue it down or something so it can't rip off, but it should be okay like that. Just going to use my magnifying glass to make sure I don't have a bridge. Okay, it's all good. So shut this guy back up. So the reason why you mark it is because this board can actually fit on both ways. And you might put it on backwards. You're going to want it route this wire facing on the USB side, because that's the direction you're going to be going out or heading towards after. Alright, so that's part of the mod. Part 2 of the mod. See if I can just do it even like this. Okay, that should be perfect like that. As long as it focuses. I think that should be okay. Okay, so on this chip here, I guess the dots on this side right there, so it would be, make sure your board looks exactly like this one, okay? Because the other one is different, and as I said before, Garry O'Hare is trying to help me out right now, but he's overseas somewhere, and he doesn't have access to a multimeter, so I can't confirm yet. So hopefully by the time this video is done, I'll wait a bit to upload it and see if he can help me out. So just give me a second here. Alright, so pin 10 on this chip here is the one we're going to add the wire to, or a pin. And what we're after here is this capacitor right there, and then these two resistors. All on this side is connected with a trace, so you can solder your wire anywhere on this side here. Be careful for these components on this side that you don't get a solder blob over on this guy. Okay, now I can see. So you can even get between the resistor and the capacitor. Maybe I'm just going to add a little solder blob on there. This would be way easier just adding a wire actually, like I originally said. Don't spend too much time on these components because you don't want to burn off the trace. Alright, so I added my pin. Right, and again, like I said, it'd be easier if you just actually soldered a piece of wire there, and you don't have to play in there too much. And for now on, you're gonna have to be really careful this guy doesn't break off on you. Alright, so the mod is actually done for the hardware part. So what you do now is, let me lift this guy up again. Alright, so now you take your APM with that one wire you added to it. Again, either you soldered it there or you added a pin. So then you just plug this guy now into this pin. Like that. And that is mod complete. Next steps will be showing you mission planner settings. Alright, so in this step here you can use your voltmeter or you can just use my settings. I have the battery and the USB plugged in at the same time. I have a video about how to safely plug in your USB cable and a battery at the same time by cutting the red power cable. So it's up to you if you want to do that mod or not. Alright, so we're just going to test the battery here for a base. Keep my fingers out of the way here. Okay, so my battery has gone down a bit. So in the next video where I show the APM 2.6, it's going to say 11.07. It's close enough anyways. So 11.03 is what we're after. And like I said, for you, you can probably just use my settings if you don't have a meter. Okay, so this cable here gets plugged into this guy right here. Like that. Alright, so now you can open up Mission Planner. Okay, go to Initial Setup, change monitor from disable to battery volts. We can't do volts and current because we don't have the current one. For sensor, choose other. By default, this is 10. And in here you can just pick whatever, just 3D power module if you want. And then under config and tuning, make sure under battery voltage sensing pin, make sure it says A13 in this drop down list here. Right, so now you can go to the flight data to see if we actually see battery. So we see 19.6, but we know it's 11.03. So back to initial setup, and this voltage divider here. So we're too high, so we have to go lower. So it's easier just to start halfway at 5 and go back to flight HUD and see how close you are. Just give it a couple of seconds to settle down. So 9.81, so we have to go up. So we can try 5.6. Closer. Initial setup. So 5.6, we'll try 7. Alright, so now it's too high. So 6.5 we'll try. Still too high. We'll try it with a 2. Alright, so there's our battery there, 11.03. So I do have another battery. See if I can get my meter back in here. I got this guy here. So what we can do here is just test the volts on this guy. And it's a 12.38 volts. So I'll just unplug this battery and plug this guy in and see how close we are. It should be right on almost. So 12.38 and it's showing 12.37. So that's extremely close. So that should be good enough. Right, so now the benefits of this is really this here. If you go to initial setup, go to mandatory hardware, failsafe. And now when your battery gets lower than 10.5 or 10.5, your quad's going to auto land, or you can have it set to return to home. Personally, I don't use this stuff, but I'm just showing you guys this anyways. So that's how you would do that. All right, so the next one I'm going to show you with the APM 2.6 and 2.8. All right, with the APM 2.6 and 2.8, what we're after here is A0. So plug this guy there. And then this guy gets plugged into this pin right here. All right, so I'm going to use the 11.06 battery again. Okay, connect to mission planner, have the battery and the USB plugged in again. Right, go to config and tuning. Actually, initial setup might already be set up. All right, so set it to battery volts and set it to other, and then go to config and tuning and standard params. Change this guy here, it's default for A13. Change it to A0. Then write your parameter. And then you should be able to go to flight data and see your voltage here. So here you can see it's pretty close again to 11.06. So initial setup. And again, this is where you just want to tweak it. So we're already pretty close at 11.09. So I think that's good enough. But tweak it if you want. All right, so that's how you do it with the APM 2.6 and 2.8. Alright, this is a second way of doing this mod, and this mod's way easier, and it's technically a no solder mod if you're creative. So just to recap here, it's the same location to solder here on the A pin, the top there, and that would be for A. So if you want to make this a no solder mod, you can just find a cable like this if you have one, preferably a 3-pin, so you can just plug it directly into there, or you can just remove one of the wires out of it. You'll have to cut one of the ends, strip it back. So you'd want to plug that into the A like that, and then just run this wire out. So then you don't need to solder this wire here, and then you can just skin this wire back and then twist it on to the next step of this video. For the APM 2.6, it still goes into A0. So what you want to do now is on all receivers here, you have on B, you have black, red, and white. So unplug this guy here. And a lot of quadcopters I've seen in my videos and stuff like that, and other people have asked me, the white one actually usually just falls off. So if it did fall off, you're going to need to solder it back on, or solder a pin on it, and then you can just plug this guy into that location. So we'll just go with it's actually still soldered. So take out the white wire. I lost my pin, so it's going to be a pain in the butt. Not bad. And you can just plug this guy back in. I've flown my quad for years without the wire in it, so you don't need it. So now what you want to do is add these two together. So just skin the wire back on this green wire, or whatever wire you attached, and then same here, and just twist the two wires together, and that should be good enough. On the APM 2.8, it's even easier. With this guy here, with this white cable, just simply plug it into A0, and you're done the mod. And that's it. So the way I'm just going to do it quickly here is I'm just going to remove this white wire. And because there's so much solder there, this should be pretty secure in there. And then now this green wire here just plugs into here. There you go. Got the APM hooked up. So I'm just going to take my base again really quickly here. If I can get all these wires around without shorting something out. Okay, so now my voltage is 10.99. So in Mission Planner, you can connect to it. So it's the same as the beginning. In standard params, your battery voltage sensing pin should still be A13. The only thing that's really going to change now is your voltages. So if you go here, well, it's already at 10.99 because I already played with it. So an initial setup, optional hardware, battery monitor again. So now change it to about 11.28. So it's just like before, if it's not on, you can just change it to say like 10 and see how the voltage changes there, just like before. Right, so that's for the APM 252. Now I'll just quickly show you for the other APM. For the APM 2.6 and 2.8, the white wire that used to go to your B, I just quickly soldered it back on. So this guy just simply plugs into A0. Right there like that, and then the mod's done. Okay, so we already know our voltage is supposed to be 10.99. So again, just connect to emission planner for the APM 2.8. So again, in initial setup or in config and tuning for full parameter or standard params, make sure under battery voltage sensing pin, you change it to A0. So back to initial setup, but we can see what our voltage is here. So here it says it's 5.47 or whatever. So go to initial setup, make sure it's set to battery volts, other, APM1 is fine. So here we're going to try 10, or was it 11? I think it was 11. 11.28 to see if it's pretty close to the other one. Go back to initial setup. Well, we'll do a quick test on the battery here just in case it's a little bit different. Now it's actually 10.94. My battery is dying quickly tonight. So 10.94. So we can just try changing this to a 1. So that should be good enough. Alright, so Gary uploaded some pictures to me. So if your board looks like this guy here and has the white wire on this side here, you should be good to go. Alright, in this picture here, test from this ground. That's your main wire coming in, or there if you want, it's up to you, either or. And put your other lead on this white wire here, either at the end of it because yours should still be intact. So don't cut it like this. He cut it for, I think he asked me a long time ago, and I think I told him to cut it. But anyways, test there. If it's anything above 5 volts, don't do this mod, because you'll end up blowing something up. But I kind of suggest just testing it out just to double check. There's just a closer look of it, so just make sure your lead goes on this location here. And then that's him testing it or whatever. So he's getting 0.841, so that's good. So you should just have to play with the settings now, the divider like we did before. Alright, so this white wire now either gets connected to A0 on the APM 2.6, or it gets connected to that green wire that we had added to the APM 252, the original open source APM. Alright, so if you have a board like this one here, don't do this mod, because it really looks like this white wire here is actually going directly to 12 volts. So if you do plug this into your receiver, it'll probably blow it up, or I mean into your APM, it'll probably blow up the APM or fry it for sure. Right, that's it for this video. Sorry it went so long like usual. It was just a simple mod, but anyways, hopefully this helps one of you guys out, and it's technically a free power module. It was always there. A huge thanks to Gary for going way out of his way to test this wire out for me just to make sure it wasn't 12 volts. So that was cool. And you can check out his YouTube channel here. He has lots of cool videos about actual flights, which I lack big time. And he also has a really cool video, how to keep your tortoise active. It's actually pretty cruel, Gary. Anyways, like and subscribe, and that's it.